Third down and 20.
AFC West quarterback. So we got the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes and Chad Henne, the Broncos with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, the Chargers with Justin Herbert, Chase Daniel, and Easton Stick, and the Raiders with Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota. I mean, I feel like we could just skip over the Chiefs here. Like, well, we really have to say Patrick Mahomes is good.
Yeah.
Moving on. I mean, this is probably the big one. Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater. Who's the starter this year?
I'll tell you, neither is the one next year.
Probably fair.
I think they're gonna start with Drew Lock, but he's gonna be on a short leash just because Teddy. You know what you're getting in Teddy. I think Drew Lock's upside is higher, and you can't go back to him. Similar to with Trubisky last year with Foles behind him, you can't go back to Trubisky or Lock in this case once you've benched him. At that point, you're just saying you're moving on. But if you start and then you can go to Teddy. But if you start with Teddy, you're kind of stuck with Teddy the whole year, and you'll never see Drew Lock again. So I do think Drew Lock gets the nod out of camp, but it's going to be a very short leash. I don't know how long he lasts, to be completely honest with you.
I feel like I agree basically with all that.
Yeah, same sentiment.
Here's the reason that I like Teddy more than I like Drew Lock.
I mean, I like Teddy more, yeah, but
is that I think that Teddy Bridgewater survives after Denver, especially considering Tyrod Taylor survived this long.
Yes, because Teddy's a guy that, like I said, you know what you're getting. He's a very consistent, safe quarterback, and he will be someone else's backup and or someone else's bridge quarterback post-Denver. Drew Lock, it's either you're going to be the starter in Denver or you're going to be out of the league.
Yeah, or just like a forever backup. And I just think that from my analysis before his draft on him and from what we've seen now, I actually feel like that Drew Lock is underrated to a certain extent, at least his keep trade cut value. I think that most owners won't sell him at a QB 35 price because he still does have upside. It's just I'm not going to pay an actual price tag for him, like expecting him to be the starter. I only want to pick him up for good value. Whereas Teddy Bridgewater, I think, is pretty somewhat fair at his value. I don't even think Teddy Bridgewater, you probably don't even have to pay a late second for. You can probably get him for an early third, which is pretty decent if you desperately need a quarterback who can play for like the next 2 years.
I mean, I'm probably the biggest Drew Lock hater on this podcast. Nah, I don't really hate him a whole ton, but like this would be the year that if he's going to break out, it's this one, because you look at, he did lose his number one receiver in Cortland Sutton.
They have him loaded with weapons.
Well, but he wasn't last year because Cortland Sutton went down. You had rookie Jerry Jeudy. Tim Patrick was his number one target because Noah Fant was also battling ankle injuries. Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay. Yeah, this year.
If he doesn't look good, like you have Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams behind you. Melvin Gordon's starting quality, and we all think Javonte's a stud. You have Noah Fant, one of the best young tight ends in the game. And you have Cortland Sutton, who last time he was healthy just had 1,100 yards. And Jerry Jeudy was a first-round receiver last year and started off rough, but at the end of the year looked pretty decent for a rookie. I still like Jerry Jeudy a lot. Like, that's about as good as the situation you can ask for. The O-line's not terrible. If he doesn't do well this year, I think that's
what's his name did – who's their tackle that just like tore his Achilles or
Frank? What are your quick thoughts on Denver's O-line?
No,
it's pretty shit. I like that they picked up Quinn Meinerz. I think that Quinn Meinerz is pretty good, but it's not elite. Like their O-lines in the NFL seem to go either you are like a good group or you are dog crap. There's very little there's only a handful of teams that are pretty damn average.
Well, yeah. All right. If we want to just move on.
I'm waiting for the day this episode drops for Aaron Rodgers to be traded to Denver.
But that one Denver tackle, that the kid who was a bust, that he actually turned around. Their other tackle, he's pretty good.
Garrett Bowles.
I forget his name. Yeah, I think it's Bowles. Yeah,
Juwan James is the one who tore his Achilles or whatever.
Yeah.
So the other guy.
I mean, Juwan James wasn't playing, I don't think, anyway. So I don't think that they're going to miss him all that much. The guy hasn't seen the field at all.
But speaking of poor line, we can move on to the Raiders real quick.
Oh,
No, I want to talk about the Raiders.
The Raiders are much more interesting than the Chargers at quarterback here.
Yeah, we've got Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota.
You guys all saying you're most underrated? I said he was underrated. But I don't know what the most.
I think
there's not an easy choice for most underrated here.
Yeah, I think Derek Carr gets like a little bit too much unnecessary hate. I think this is, when you're relying on an injured Bryan Edwards, a rookie Henry Ruggs, and then it's just Darren Waller, basically Hunter Renfrow and Nelson Aguilar as your guys.
He still produced in that offense.
Yeah,
too.
He still did fine. I think my issue with him though is I don't know how much like Gruden really likes him. Like I don't know.
I don't think he loves him.
I agree. I don't think he's really Gruden's favorite. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know about that though.
The Raiders were in rumors for a quarterback. I think one of the last 2 off seasons. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I forgot as well, but I wouldn't be surprised.
They were in rumors for a Rodgers sweepstake too.
Was it Rodgers?
Yes,
I think it was Rodgers and Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford was in. They were in on Stafford as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish middle of the road. 8-8, or sorry, I guess it'll be 9-8 or 8-9 now that there's 17 games.
I don't think they're going to finish above 500.
If they finish around 500, I really wouldn't be surprised to see them try to make a move to move up slightly and get a quarterback in this year's draft coming up. So who knows?
This is a tough
I don't know.
division.
The one thing though is that Gruden wants a smart quarterback, and I can understand. If you had Derek Carr on your fantasy team, and all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers is on the block, what, you're going to say that you're trying to win a championship? You're not going to try and upgrade? I think it was more one of those scenarios. Derek Carr's a smart quarterback, though. John Gruden's offense, and he wants smart quarterbacks. If you go and watch, it was the Gruden's quarterback camp with Jimmy Clausen, I think it was. And there was a play where Jimmy Clausen, this is college too, checks a route at the line of scrimmage and then throws a pick on a miscommunication. He's like, dude, you realize if you do that in the NFL, you will not play for anyone, especially me. And kind of look what happened, right? You don't get that kind of stuff out of Derek Carr, and you know that. Compared to a young quarterback, you have no idea. So Derek Carr to me is just in that he's good, but clearly if there's a better quarterback on the market, you're going to go and get those guys.
Fair.
I don't think they'll be in a position where they'll be high enough to draft another quarterback.
The Raiders are low-key good. They just needed a defense last year, and they would have been a playoff team.
Yeah, but they didn't get a defense this offseason. And their O-line got worse.
You hating, Lounis. You hating.
I just don't think I'd see them being a 6 or 7 win team.
Dude, the thing is, though, is that the Raiders were able to beat the best teams last year.
I know, I'm not saying it's going to be Derek Carr's fault or Gruden's fault. I just think their O-line isn't that good, and it got slightly worse. And I think their defense, especially their secondary, is awful.
I think the O-line struggles are so overstated.
Didn't they trade away one of their O-linemen or release one of them?
Cut them.
Yeah, they got.
The
problem is, though, is that they had the highest paid O-line, and 80% of them didn't play.
Yeah, and then the O-linemen,
what are you gonna do? Just pay guys that don't play?
The O-linemen they drafted, I think they're gonna play a little bit out of position.
Alex Otherwood, I think, is good. I like him.
I like him, but they're using him. I forgot whatever he played in college. They're playing him the other spot in the NFL. Left tackle. I think they're playing him in guard in the NFL, or he was a guard in college and they're playing him left tackle.
No, he played left tackle. I think he played left tackle.
I forgot, but either way, I didn't love the pick at the time. Even though I like him, I didn't love where they select. I don't know. It's not Derek Carr's fault that I'm picking them low. It's more their defense and O-line.
All right. And sticking on the Raiders, is Mariota, will Mariota start for another team?
I think so. Raiders? I think he will.
He thinks he does.
Because
pretty good in the start. When
I look at the league right now, there are at least 3 teams off the top of my head that I would rather have Marcus Mariota as my starting quarterback. It would be obviously the Texans. That's a no-brainer. I honestly think I would rather have Marcus Mariota start than Daniel Jones. So that would be the Giants as my number 2 team.
All right.
What about the Broncos?
Yeah, the Broncos are definitely close at number 3. I think Marcus Mariota and Teddy Bridgewater are pretty damn...
Mariota over Bridgewater.
I don't know. I think it's pretty damn close. I think Mariota is the problem with Mariota is he's way more inconsistent with Teddy. Teddy, you get the same guy every game, but Mariota at his peak is like a legitimately really good quarterback. You only get that 1 out of every 3 or 4 games, though. I guess there might be 2 more. Eagles might be one if I'm trying to win a Super Bowl this year. But even then, like obviously, if I'm a franchise, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts. And there was one more I was thinking. I can't remember. Who are the other teams with bad quarterbacks? I'm blanking
the
right
Redskins. If you'd rather have them over
football
Fitzpatrick.
team. God.
Oh my God.
Lunis falls about every single.
I don't know. I think I'd rather have Fitzmagic than Mariota starting for me.
Darnold versus Mariota.
Ooh, that's close.
I take Mariota over.
I think
the point here is that there are a lot of teams that we'd rather have Mariota, or it's very close to we would rather have Mariota. So for that point, if any of these quarterbacks is to get hurt, or any of these teams want to make a move or need a quarterback midseason, I think Mariota's a guy that the Raiders will definitely part with. I mean, I think Carr has earned his starting spot there. I think we'd all rather have Carr than Mariota. At least Gruden thinks so.
Mariota wanted to be there, which was kind of surprising. Like he willingly took a pay cut and possibly a non-starting job to be in Vegas.
Was that last offseason?
I'm pretty sure that was this offseason.
This offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if Gruden told him, like, hey, you might have a shot to start.
Maybe. I don't know. Because you're right. Like, it seems like everything works well with Derek Carr, but there's so many rumblings and things. Like, there's just enough to make you think that Derek Carr's spot isn't set. And that's enough, at least. I don't know about for you guys, but for me to say, I am not going to buy Derek Carr.
I mean, I'm probably not buying either of these guys, to be honest. I'd rather just buy someone for, like, that I'm more comfortable with. Like, I'm not gambling on these quarterbacks. With quarterbacks, I just want guys I know, like, they're going to be my stable, starter, super flex guy. Like,
okay, well, speaking of that guy, Justin Herbert.
I love Justin Herbert.
I think that this is crazy because I think that he's the most underrated quarterback. I think that he's the type of dude that if he's available in your league for an overpay, you do that overpay and you just hold for the next 10 years.
I mean, so you said the most under. It's hard for me to say I said correct. I said QB4. You have Kyler. I mean, no, you have Mahomes. Whatever order. Allen, then Kyler, then him. Then following him, you have your preference of Dak, Lamar, Dak.
Well, see, that's the problem. Is that I think that I would have Herbert over Kyler.
Let's go.
Damn. I'm still.
I
at this
like
point
Kyler too.
Kyler.
It's just Herbert. The thing is with Herbert is that I see Stafford. I see one of those elite level quarterbacks that's going to be playing very consistently for a long time, barring any crazy circumstances.
I'm not disputing that. I can see that.
And he's cool as fuck.
I can see that, but with Kyler, I think Kyler's kind of similar to Lamar, but a little bit of a better passer.
Dude, he's the blender. What was that blender, Jake?
Oh, the Ninja Blender?
Yeah, he's the Ninja Blender of quarterbacks, dude.
He's so reliable, you only have to buy him one time and you're good for life.
Exactly. Like, dude, he's worth that high-end price, that overpay price that you're going to pay for in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I have Herbert, and I am not even dreaming about selling him in our league. Like,
I mean, I agree with that statement. I think
that'd be a nightmare.
I think any of those top 4 are worth the trade. Like, if you're trading for Mahomes, odds are it's going to be worth it. If you're trading for Josh Allen, odds are it's going to be worth it. If you're trading for Kyler, odds are it's going to be worth it. If you're trading for Herbert, odds are it's going to be worth it. You could probably make the same case for Lamar, Dak, but those get a little bit more. I don't feel as confident about those two as I do the first 4.